I once again look like I'm wearing the exact same outfit that I wore last time I was recording. This is a different t-shirt, I swear. This is the same, though, and so is the hat. Pants aren't, but only by virtue of the fact that, being a YouTuber, I don't wear pants to work. That said, today we're talking about Ducktales again. This is a series that I'm still really upset with myself that I slept on it for so long, because it's very good. Now, this one, though, today comes with a bit of an interesting backstory. Some of the sources that I've been looking at to determine which of these episodes to review in what order have this episode listed as, like, episode 9 or something. I can't remember exactly. And that's probably why I've never seen this one, because I have watched a couple more episodes ahead of where I've reviewed at this point. But I'm thinking that the website that I go to watch these without having to watch them on TV, I don't want to say the P word, but you know what I'm talking about. It's also the one where I rip the video that I use in the videos. I do have a Disney Plus account, though, so I am still paying for the episodes, right? But that site, which is where I watched those episodes the first time, has this listed as episode 9, but on Disney Plus, it's listed as episode, like, 3 or 4, depending on whether or not you consider the premiere to be 1 or 2 episodes. So, long story short, I hadn't seen this episode yet when I went to get around to review, because I'm going by the Disney Plus order at this point. That seems the one most likely to be official, right? And it's a bummer that I didn't watch this one the first time through, because this is a really good episode. This one's very funny. It's the first episode of the series so far that follows kind of the original series DuckTales formula, with Scrooge taking the kids off, the kids and Launchpad. Launchpad's kind of there, but not really. We'll talk about it in a second. But the kids, and technically Launchpad, off on a hijinks-filled adventure. Like, there's character stuff in here, and I guess kind of world building too for this reboot. Like, in particular, we actually get a feel for Launchpad's character here. We hadn't really gotten a great feel for what his character is in this reboot yet up to this point. But for the most part, this is just an episode of the show, built off of that same formula that the old show followed as well, but filled to the brim with this new show's unique style of wry humor. And I'm going to spoil a couple of the jokes for you again, like I did in the last review, because the humor of this one really is the selling point. And I want to be clear, these are the kinds of jokes we see through the whole thing. Enjoy.
You realize there's a difference between quitting and dying, right? But it'll be worth it when we find the treasure of Mountain Everest.
There is no treasure of Mount Everest.
Nope, Louis out. Already gone. Have fun.
And while there is something of a story here about compromise and how some goals just aren't realistic or really achievable at all, even in unrealistic situations. And there's even, surprisingly enough, a sci-fi element here in this episode that I'm not going to spoil, because it kind of comes out of nowhere, and it's really neat. I will just say, the mountain they try to climb in this episode was thinking with portals. That might be too much of a spoiler. I don't know how other people's brains work. So, like, there is a story here, and everybody is entirely in character. The decisions they make are entirely in keeping with their super well-realized characters. This is just a fun experience from beginning to end. A fun, episodic experience. Like, no recurring villains are introduced here. No plot hooks are introduced here. So, at the end of the day, I don't think it really matters if you watch this one as episode 4 or episode 9. It slots in pretty much anywhere. And what's great about it, the fact that Launchpad was there, though he does get separated from the rest of the group relatively early on and has kind of his own thing going through the entire episode, allows the episode to give us a bit of slapstick-style humor via him, alongside the more wry humor that comes from the interactions between Scrooge and the boys. At its barest, though, the plot of this episode is that Scrooge wants to be the first person to ever reach the highest peak of the impossible mountain, Mount Neverrest, the deadliest peak in the world. And that's it. There's a little bit more to it, like we get some backstory stuff, kind of, like pertinent to this specific episode at least. I can't see how this backstory could possibly be pertinent to Scrooge's character overall, but for the most part, that's it. It's that simple. And because of that, there's not a ton more to say about this one, except that it's interesting that I enjoyed it as much as I did, because I don't typically like stuff that's set in snowy environments. I find them kind of visually uninteresting, which is really weird because Skyrim's like my favorite video game ever, and it's mostly snow. So my dog is making noise, in case you're wondering what that is. So like, I even came into this not expecting to get a ton of enjoyment out of this one, and I still liked it a lot because even though it was set in a snowy environment, they managed to vary the looks of the various environments that we did see enough that it remained visually interesting, and the humor is just so sharp. I could not stress that enough. The humor in this episode was, if you'll pardon the pun, peak. Like I can't imagine, maybe the show gets funnier from here, and I don't expect it to get like less funny over time or anything, but I kind of feel like this is the funniest that a show can be. Like this show in general is the funniest that a show could be, while still, you know, being overall an action adventure. Dude, will you just lay down? Thank you. He's got a cone on and he keeps trying to curl up and lay down and scrapes the cone against the wall. It's very annoying. He's about to do it again. God dang it. Like, I can't stress enough, I don't want to talk more about this episode because it's a comedy episode. I don't want to spoil the comedy more than I already have to try to sell it. But I also can't stress enough that you absolutely should watch this episode of this show. You should watch this show in general, but you should watch this episode of this show. It's very good. That's it. That's the review. What did you guys think of, what's this one called? The Impossible Summit of Mount Neverrest, I think. What did you think of this particular episode of the DuckTales reboot? Not a lot to say about it today, but still, this is a glowing recommendation from me. But again, I'm curious to hear what you guys think of this one. Let's get a discussion going in the comments section down below, or over my Discord or my Tumblr. Links to both in the video description. Either way, though, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.